Hey guys, Chickadee Maine, aka Deboo, Deboo.com with the Deboo.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, August 22nd, 2014. And okay, for all of you non-surfers, I've got to set this up from a surfer's perspective at a moment before we get into the nuts and bolts of what's happening with 96L Invest just north of Puerto Rico. It appears that a surface low is now starting to develop, and this looks to be Cristobal in the next 48 to 72 hours in the Southeast Bahamas. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But okay, surfers, here's what we've been looking at. Going to start you off on the mid-Atlantic, guys. If you've been following the forecast, there's an area of low pressure that is now supposed to be moving off the mid-Atlantic and create another area of low pressure in this northwest Atlantic in here. There's been a northeast fetch in here over the last several days, and the idea was that that was going to get the train rolling. So there is northeast wind swell in here just east of the Outer Banks and then going up in here towards the northwest Atlantic. We're still watching to see exactly what happens with this area of low pressure, because if this one can tighten up in here and increase some more of that wind swell as what appears to be Cristobal moving up into the Southeast Bahamas, it could grab, and if it's far enough to the east, it could grab some of that northeast wind swell and then enhance a northeast ground swell in here, pushing down into South Florida. Guys, this is how Sandy kind of did. We already had a northeast groundswell up in here. Sandy came up in here, grabbed it, intensified, and wrapped it down and shoved it down South Florida's coast. This is what we're looking for, guys. Outside chance, possible major swell event setting up. We won't know until this system clears the island of Hispaniola. There's another thing that we're looking at, guys, and models are already starting to hint at. Gulf of Mexico fans, you are not out of the woods yet. Area of vorticity just south of Puerto Rico could break away and push off towards the southwest and start to pick up some convection that's down here in the southwest Caribbean. This would slide off towards the west, then possible northwest, and slide into the Gulf of Mexico. It's an outside shot on that, but again, there's no guarantees once we're dealing with the Island of Hispaniola. We're going to have to wait to see how it clears out. Now, let me set this up for you. Here's a closer look at 96L Invest, and it's just right here off the Puerto Rican coast where it appears that a surface low is developing. That's going to move off towards the west-northwest and towards the Southeast Bahamas over the next 48 to 72 hours. It's down here in the bottom portion that another little spin, you can see it right here, is drifting off towards the southwest. When we take a close-up look at view, here is the original circulation center that was with 96L Invest, and you can see that convection is now starting to fire up on it. If this can get a little bit more off towards the west-northwest and give it a chance to get some water on the south side that it can draw up, that's when we could start to see more organization and then leading into a depression and then possible tropical storm Cristobal. Here's that southern leg again, and again, Gulf of Mexico fans, not out of the woods yet. You can see, again, here, what appears to be a little circulation center trying to develop in here. The idea is as 96L Invest moves off towards the west-northwest, this drops down to the southwest. With Hispaniola, the island, separating the two, this could become in its own environment. So Gulf of Mexico fans, we're watching that for you as well. Looking at the infrared rainbow satellite imagery now, you can see convection is deepening just north of the Puerto Rican coast, and again, giving us more positive signals that a surface low could be developing in here. This is the strongest area of convection at the moment. It just needs to clear the island just a little bit more and get into here where it can be surrounded by water on the south side of the system. And then here's this area just south of Puerto Rico. Now, guys, I know this might sound a little far-fetched because Deboo is saying, wait a minute, there may be another one coming up in here towards the Gulf of Mexico and then Cristobal up in here into the Southeast Bahamas. Let me just remind everybody that the East Pacific all year long this year has had multiple systems. This is now 3 systems. If the pattern shift will shift over towards the Western Atlantic, we could go into the rest of the peak of the hurricane season with the threat that we could see multiple systems at multiple times. If you remember, tropical waves over the last 3 to 4 weeks have been moving off the African coast in 2s and 3s. Not trying to hype anything, just letting you know that all things are possible. That's all we got for you for now, guys. Stay tuned for the next update.